Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, last week I was fishing a club match and we were discussing how if you want to get into match fishing, club matches are probably the best way to go. And of course there are two different levels of match fishing in the UK. You've got club matches, which are very often just a bunch of mates going out together. You might get 10, possibly 20 anglers on them. But then there's the next level, which is open matches. Now, open matches are exactly that. They're open to anyone. You pay a fee, you fish the match, and if you do well enough, you win, and of course, you win money. Now, the difference, of course, is that the standard of angling. In open matches, the level of angler you get could be right up to international level. Even if it's just sort of fishing matches in your local area, you never know who you're going to be fishing against, and some of these guys are seriously good. So, as we said last time, best way to start, join a club. If you want to progress to open matches, that's great. And so, this last weekend, I've just fished a 3-day open match festival, and I thought that would be a good time or a good way rather, to sort of introduce you to open match fishing. So here we are then. This is the start of day one. And to start off with, I'll introduce you to the peg. This is it. Big, isn't it? It's massive. I think the overall lake is something like 10 kilometres long. And as you can see, it goes all the way down there. Having said that, back to the right again. There's two other basins, which may or may not be of similar size. But as I say, the whole thing's probably about 10 kilometres. There are people on the other bank over there, and we've also got another section on the area. I don't know if you can see it too well. Let me try and zoom in the area down by those apartments down there where the boat's actually going down through now. It's the first time I fished over here. About 3 years ago I did fish all the way across the other side in the middle of winter, and I had a few fish, but this is a bit of a new experience for me as well, so I'm going to have to feel my way in, see how we go. Whistle's about to go in a minute, so I'll get myself ready and we'll talk later. Okay, so we're just waiting for the whistle to go, or a klaxon. Not quite sure what he's going to blow, but it's the guy on the end there, and that indicates obviously the start of the match. We're fishing from 10 o'clock till 4 o'clock today, so it's a 6-hour match, and of course at the end we'll do the weigh-in. Just waiting for him to... He's actually checking his phone to get the exact time. Good man. All in! Okay, so he's actually shouted all in, which is the standard sort of phraseology, and we're ready to go. So as you can see, I'm going to start off with a method feeder, and I'm going to fish around about 38 turns, which is probably something like 34 meters. The reason I'm doing that is because, as I said in that previous video, I've plumbed around with the ledger weight. Remember, you can't plumb with the feeder on, you can only plumb with the ledger on. And I've picked a marker on the far bank, which is that tree. I'm going to put half a dozen feederfuls of ground bait out there, and that'll get the thing started hopefully. So just while we're getting some feed out there and waiting for the first bite, then let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. Obviously feed is going to be probably one of the main lines of attack, but I have got a pole set up. The depth's about 8 feet, and it's 8 feet, as I said, from down there out most of the way out there. Got a pole cup on, a pole pot, which I may just dump some bait out, or I may feed through a smaller pot on a little orphan basis. Don't know yet. As I said from the start, I'm going to be feeling my way in because I don't really know what to expect. Bait wise, I've got corn, and I've got pellets, and I've got bread. Ground bait, it's my standard sort of a mix. Nothing too complicated, just get everything set up nice and to hand, and that's all you've got to worry about. Hook size, at the moment I'm using a size 14, and it's on a hair rig with the method feeder. I'll also be using a 14 on the pole rig, but we'll have to see how things go
whether I go larger on that one. Can't imagine I'm going to go at all smaller because the fish are probably quite a good size. So let's just now wait and see how we get on. GoPro. Finally, we're 2 hours in, haven't had a bite. The guy to my right's had 3 fish, the guy to my left's had 2, and this is my very first bite. So, don't lose it then. Take your time. The guy to my right that's had 3 has had 1 on the short pole line and 2 on the feeder line. So I suppose with me having this 1 bite, I'm probably not that far behind really. I can just get a few more put together and we'll see how we go. There we go. I really thought he was ready then. However, he wasn't and I could have lost him, so that would have been my fault. Anyway, 1 fish. Whew. Right there for another hour and finally got another bite. It's raced off. Now it's coming back towards me. There we go. Gonna have to definitely take our time with these today because they're all precious. Guy on the right has got 4, guy on the left has got 3. If I get this one in, this will be 2. Still behind, but still got a chance. Oh. Well, right, 4 to the right, 3 to the left, 2 to me. Phew. This is hard. Well, I'm either going to be very lucky or this is foul hooked. I just miscast, thought I'd bring it in, and on the way in this happened. So I'll probably best not put this on the video if I get it in. I don't know, I suspect it's foul hooked. If it's not, it's only been in for 10 seconds. Oh, hang on, I think I might have him under the chin. I have. He's actually foul hooked, he's just under the chin, that's what it is. Need to be careful with this one. Still can't, even when they're hooked like this, so if you're in a match, don't worry too much. You see it's under its chin. Gently, gently. And we got him. Well, I'll take them whichever way they come, frankly. That's a bigger fish than the other ones as well. Well, that'll do. See the hook? Just down here. Well, well, well. Okay, so we've just gone back in again after that last fish, the third one. And if you remember what I was saying earlier on about watching the guys either side of you, as I said, the guy on the right's got 4, guy on the left's got 3, and now I've got 3. So that way you can work out not only more or less your positioning within this sort of area, and that's the only way you can do this because other pegs are right on the other side of the trees down there. It means that you know that you're doing nothing too wrong. If we've all got about the same amount of fish, then you know you can't be doing anything too terribly badly. The only thing that depends on now is who's got the biggest fish. And if you remember from the last match I fished, I did actually mention that quite often matches are won and lost on 1 fish. So the idea is to make sure you get as many in as possible and don't lose any. Of course, that doesn't always happen. You do actually lose one here and there, but it's the guy very often who loses the least fish that wins in the area or even wins the whole match. Alright, another long wait. We're in again. This will be 4, but the guy to my right hasn't caught anymore, so he's still on 4, so that's good. Unfortunately, Ivan down there's on about 10 now. This last hour he's put a lot of fish in the net. So I can get another 1 or 2 fish and AD to my right there doesn't catch any more. We've got a chance of being second out of the three of us. And then obviously the people down the way there in the section, we don't know until we've done the weigh-in. Come on, fish. Okay, that's 4. Okay, so now it's just a question at the moment, if it ends this way, if Edie's got bigger fish than me or not. Straight in. Literally, it's only been in about 45 seconds. I have tried the waggle line, and I've also tried the pole line just down here, and I've sort of swapped and changed a bit, but I just cannot get a bite on either of those two. Mind you, the waggler line, it was the current was going to my right, and it was going almost like a river, because on lakes of this size the undertow can be really powerful. Wind's going right to left, of course, as I've said before when I was talking about that, but somebody's shouting something over there. It's because I've caught a fish or not. Okay, so that's 5. There he goes. We're in again. Only about 15 minutes to go, but this will be 6 if I get it. Just keeps finding some strength from somewhere. There we go, got him. So, 6. A little bit bigger maybe, still not massive, but very welcome. Well, that's 4 o'clock, end of day 1. They've just called the all out, so that's the end of the match. And AD off to my right has got a fish on, and Ivan going that way has got a fish on. So as the whistle goes, or the match ends, you have either 10 or 15 minutes to get them in, depending on the match rules that you're fishing to. Obviously that's plenty of time normally to get the fish in, but it does mean that if you've got one on, you can still fight it and put it in the net. Anyway, I think I've done okay for the day, considering I'm a bit of a virgin at this place. I've certainly learned a few things. I felt my way in, so I was a little bit slow to start with. Caught a few fish at the end. Got some ideas for day 2 tomorrow, and got to bear in mind that this is a 3-day competition. Certainly today, I don't know how well I've done on my section yet because we haven't weighed in, but I'll put the results up for you a bit later. Hi folks, and welcome back. This is day 2 of the 3-day competition, and today I'm on the opposite side of the lake. Yesterday I had 12 kilos, or about 25 pounds, and I came 4th in this section. Now I had to feel my way in, so I didn't feel that was too bad. It wasn't great obviously, but it wasn't too bad considering I was fishing against people who fish here a lot. So across here today, I drew this peg, which is peg 2, and I'm actually right next to the road, as you can probably see, so there's all sorts of walkers and bikers and cars going past, but I've drawn a good peg. Now yesterday, the guy that fished it had 23 kilos, and that's about 50 pounds. So, as usual, when you do the draw, what you do is you get some intelligence, you get some intel. So I spoke to all the people that I know that know about this peg, and I've got a great idea of exactly how to approach it. So, the only thing I've got to do now is make it work. Anyway, let's give you a quick look at this peg and we'll see how we go on after that. And there's the road bridge going around, and there's where I was fishing yesterday, all the way over in that direction over there. Further down, there you go, I've actually got a good distance on my peg. It's about the same depth here as last time, and just down in front of me at about 9 meters I've got 8 feet, so there's about 6-inch difference from across the way. So I'm going to fish at about 9 meters and see how I go on, and then I'm going to throw a feeder out over that way to 40 turns, and that's an arbitrary number,
I'm told go about sort of 35-40 metres, something like that. So gone out to 40 turns, which is probably somewhere between, as I say, 35 metres and 38 metres, I suppose. And we'll see how we go there, and it'll be alternating between the pole and the feeder all day.
Okay, that's the whistle just gone. All the call for all in, as is yesterday. So I'm gonna feed more heavily today. It seems to be one of the mistakes I made yesterday. The problem I've got is that you've got this cycle path and walking path behind me, so I've got to keep my roller off to one side here, which makes it a little bit more awkward, but that way you don't have any issues with cyclists going all over your tackle and crashing and having all sorts of issues. So I'm going to go out to 9 metres, and I'm going to use that building over there. Just pop this in for now. I'm going to leave that now, and I'm going to go out on the feeder just to see how I do on that. The idea is that we get this one percolating a little bit, have a few fish getting a bit more confident, while we try out there at about 40 metres or so. So, got my rod. Just a question now, casting out. Find a feature. Okay, got one over there, and there we go. Again, it's only about 8 feet deep over there, same as yesterday. No real depth change, so 40-ish metres is what I've been told is a good distance, so I'll give that a go. So we're half an hour in, as expected really. It's a little bit early. Nobody's had a bite that I can see so far, but I can only see myself and the other 2 anglers either side. I've got about half a dozen balls of bait over across at the feeder line, obviously feeding on the feeder itself. So what I'm going to try now is, because I put that pot of bait in just at the start on the pole line, I'm going to give that a go just to see what happens. My London net might just get in the way a little bit, but I can't put it any further back because I've got all these bikes and people walking along behind me. As I said before, we don't want to create a crash, do we? I'm only going to give this a few minutes just to see, and then if nothing happens, I'm going to top up that feed with some more. I'm going to go back out on the feeder line and just keep alternating until something starts to happen. Like that. That'll do nicely, thank you. Well, I'm almost impressed with myself. Now all I've got to do is get it in. Certainly got some power. This is where I've got to be careful and concentrate, because if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up sticking my pole through a biker's wheel, which would not be helpful. It's nice to get something on the pole. I haven't had anything on the pole here yet so far. Nothing turned up yesterday at all. A million cyclists. There we go, there's the fish. Down there. Now, try and work out how best to get this one in. Quite high up on the bank here, I'm probably at least 4 feet off the water, which is making it a little bit interesting. Again, probably one of those 3-4 pound fish that we had yesterday, but they soon make a weight, so that's good. There we go, we're done. Okay, first blood to me. That'll do nicely. Third bite. Got a definite crowd now. I've got a couple on the left and bikers on the right. There we go.
Carp, is it?
Yes mate, it's a carp. Ah, there we go. Yeah, it's probably about 2 kilos or something. Yep, you definitely get a crowd. Well, I'm finding that feeding through the pot is a bit difficult because the height I'm up here and the fact that I'm bringing the hook down there, and it's just all too difficult, so I'm going to feed through the catapult from now on, I think. See how we go with that. Okay, so it seems that the advice and the experience of yesterday is paying off a little bit. Don't want to speak too soon, but feeding a lot more heavily today. Trouble is, you definitely get the crowds of onlookers. Yeah, and again. Is that 5? I think I could count to 5, wouldn't you? Must be getting too old for this sort of thing. Right, well, we'll call it 5 anyway, because I can't remember. Okay, well, this one's going out in the middle. So, I'm on 9 fish at the moment, and I went through a spate of losing fish. Not being broken up or anything like that. They were just on, and they were pulling off, and they didn't appear to be like they were line bites or foul hook fish, but they just came off. So it's been a bit of a frustrating last sort of 45 minutes or so, hour, and this one's actually staying well out. So if this one comes in, then this will be number 10. Howard next to me is bagging up. He's on the pole as well. And I don't know what the guys to the right are doing because I can't see too well. So, we're having a good day, and that's the main part. Right. Come on then, fish. Let's be having you. That'll do. Right, so that's 10. There's half an hour to go and things have slowed down a bit. Howard on the end's still catching pretty well. I'm up to 18 fish now, so I've got a reasonable weight. Can't see me winning this section today, but you never know, I might get a reasonable placing in this section. We'll just have to wait and see. Well, that's been a bit of a long stint in between catching fish. I've had 18, and if I get this one in, it'll be 19. There's only about 10 minutes to go, so this may well be my last fish. I might just get one more cast, I suppose, but one more put in, I suppose, with the pole. But this will be 19, so that's not a bad day. Can't argue with it. Didn't actually think I was going to catch any more. Mind you, I haven't got this one in yet. There we go. So, 19 then. I've got 7 or 8 minutes left. There's a possibility of 20. And as an angler, you always live in hope, don't you? Right. Get the hook out of him. Don't think any of them have really swallowed it today, which is good. So that's it then. That's the end of day 2. We haven't weighed in yet, so can't tell you the weights. I think I've done reasonably well. I don't think I've won the section by any means, but I've had a great day and I've learned some more, and there's always tomorrow. So I'll let you know the results tomorrow, and tomorrow of course is day 3 and the final day. Morning. Well, it's day 3 today, and I've drawn over by the flats. It's been pretty good along here the last couple of days, so I'm hoping we'll catch a few fish. Before I show you the swim, let me tell you about the results from yesterday. I ended up with about 42 kilos something, which is around about 94 pounds, and that was 19 carp. Fished on the pole all day, tried the feeder, but no go, so the pole was the way to do it. Came third in the match as well, second in the section, third in the match, so that was a good thing. I'm learning more and more each time I fish this thing. You get people sitting either side of you, so you pick their brains and you learn a little bit more each time, and hopefully you get a bit better each time, and maybe next year when we fish here I'll maybe do something a bit more about winning. Still, quite pleased with the third yesterday overall. Anyway, let's have a quick look at this swim. So here we are then. The first day I was right over there. Yesterday I was on the other side of the bridge, and obviously today, as I said, I'm over at the flats. We're on a wall today, and I've got AD across there again. Seem to be sticking to him like glue at the moment. And then coming around to the left, we've got John, who's off down there. Section mostly goes off all the way down to the other end of those flats there. And it's now something like 20 to 10. Match starts at 10 as usual, so it's really just a question of waiting for that to start. So the whistle's just gone then, and that's 10 o'clock obviously. I potted a large pot of bait just down at this sort of 5-6 metre area where it's about 7 or 8 feet deep. This one, you may be able to see rocks just here, but it literally just goes straight off to 8 feet. When you get about 30 metres out that way, it comes back up to about 2 feet. So I've set up the pole, but while I was waiting for the pot to do its work, I put 4 feederfuls of ground bait at about 30 metres out there, just to get that swim possibly moving, see how we go. We do have some issues today because it's kind of narrow on this path, a bit like a walking path, and it's obviously got bikes on it. Not quite as bad as yesterday, but I can't actually put anything at all behind me. It's going to make it a little bit difficult, but we'll have to see how we go and just cope with the conditions. Okay, first bite. Let's see if we can get this in. Always want to get the first one in because it just settles you down for the day. Let's take it nice and easy. Looks like this is the first fish that's been caught in this area so far. Doesn't mean to say I'll win, but can't be bad, can it? Swimming towards me, just coming down here, and this is where the rocks are, so I don't know quite how that's going to affect things. Yeah, first one of the day. One thing I should have mentioned before we started is that today I'm fishing with a feeder, cage feeder, and I've always been fishing here with the method feeder, but I noticed that all of the guys that are doing really well are fishing with a feeder, and I've got probably about a 1 foot tail with it, hair rig as usual on corn, and obviously I've just had that first bite, so maybe it does work, eh? Whoa. This one decided to take off. Heading towards John's peg. In fact, John's just cast in and my fish came up just in front of him. I won't tell him. Right, that's 2. I've tried the pole line a couple of times, there's still nothing doing there. So it looks like I'll be doing this for a bit today. Still, as long as it keeps going round, getting bites, that's alright. Well, this one just about ripped the rod out of the rests. And it's keeping going. There he is over there, look. That was no indication at all, just vicious. Certainly made me jump. Well, John's had 5 now. AD's on 3, I believe, but that last one he's had on for about 15 minutes. And this will be my 3rd. A bit of luck. Certainly so far, the cage feeder seems to be working out better than the method, just as the guys were doing the last 2 days, so maybe that's what I've been doing wrong. There we go. Well, that was different. Decent fish. Well, I'm up to 15 fish now. I've changed over to the pole about 3-4 fish or so ago, and they've arrived. So that's kind of handy because the feeder line had died and the bites are coming pretty much thick and fast now. This one will be 16 if it comes in. Haven't lost so many today as I did yesterday, which is something I mentioned earlier in the week. It's often the amount of fish you lose that wins or loses you the match, because if you lose less than the guy on the peg next to you, you're likely to beat him. Right, 16 it is. And half a dozen fish out of this pole line in the last, I don't know, half an hour or so. Slowing up a little bit now though. Just feeding small patchfuls of corn over the top, and just give it a little bit of a lift, get the bait off the bottom as if it's been blown up in the air by a carp feeding, and often you'll get a bite. Not always, but it does work. Yep, here we go again. Certainly take off. Now this one's foul hook, that's why it's been such a problem. Got him in the pectoral fin, look. Still, they all count, that's 18. Slowing down a little bit now. I've only got less than an hour to go, so often goes that way. Try again. Get some bait in there. A pellet as well this time. There we go. Let's see what happens. If you're wondering about the shotting arrangement down the line, this is a 1.5 gram float and I'm using a strong bulk of number 6s. Strong bulk just means that you spread them out every ½ inch or so, you know, like every 15 millimeters or so, over a space of about sort of so much. And the reason for that is that when a fish picks the bait up and moves away with it, with the strong bulk it doesn't feel the weight of it as if it was an olivet so much. So it's just another way to do it, and it also gives you flexibility, so you can string out your shots a bit more if you want a slower drop, or as with this one, if you want a faster drop, just do the bulk. And at a bite, not yet. The hook today is a size 12, and I'm using 8-pound main line with a 6-pound bottom. Size 18 elastic, solid. Give it a lift, see if that induces anything. Okay, bites are slowed down quite a lot. Very often happens at this stage of the match. There's only half an hour to go, so I've had to either go a bit further out past my feed, or in this case a bit further in from my feed. Sometimes the fish stand off the baited area once you excuse me, once you've caught a few, and it often pays to just search around a bit further out, which is what I was doing there, and it has paid off. Well, if I get it in anyway. Haven't lost anywhere near as many today as I did yesterday. Oh, and of course you might as well just cut the line, because as soon as you say things like that, that's it, it's all done. Ta-da. This time? Nope. Huh. Well, go on. Yes. Thought he was never going to take it. Okay, 19 it is. That's the same as I had yesterday. Not convinced that these fish are as big as yesterday's, but still, it's been really good fun again. I've got about 10 minutes to see if I can get another one. Let's see what happens. That took off well. I think that's the smallest fish of the day. There we go. 20 it is. Well, that's the end of day 3 then, folks, and I've had 20 fish. We haven't weighed in yet, so I'll have to get back to you shortly with how I did. Don't know how well it's fished, but I do know that I got bitten by the guy to my left, John. He's got 20 plus fish. He reckons he's got 22, 23. But either way, you can't complain. I mean, if I've got 20 fish, that's going to be somewhere in the sort of 80 to 90 pounds or 90 pounds plus range. Anyway, as I say, I'll get back to you with the results later.
Well, who knew? Seems I weighed in 94 pounds again, and I came third overall again. As I say, who knew? Anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed the 3-day weekend. Hopefully you've gained a few insights and maybe a few tips and tactics as to how to approach open matches. Certainly one of the big takeaways from me would be, of course, it's always a learning curve when you're fishing in a brand new venue. So look around you, see what others are doing, see if they're successful at it or if they're not. Talk to other anglers, get friendly with them, have a beer with them. Just gain as much intelligence as you can. And remember, they won't always tell you the truth. Mostly the guys are pretty good and they will. But just take everything with a little bit of a pinch of salt and look around you, as I say, see how you're doing. So hopefully this has helped you if you want to start open match fishing. Really, that's the end of the video at this point. So if you enjoyed it, you know the score. Click the like button. If you want to subscribe, you can do that too. And until the next time, bye for now.